Today was day one of the T+4 settlement period. Absolutely perfect day in the market, priming the groundwork for a very attractive OPEX. We were not really expecting much coverage going in today because they don't have to, so why would they? GME closed at 140, up about 4% on the day. Justin, what else?
Oh, well, not much. Like I said, pretty much I spend my days, on Pi-Fi stream. If you're not there, I strongly suggest you be there if you want to know the most about the cycle. But a comment that he found interesting that I thought, I'll share with the group here if anyone missed it, was the question came out, you, Josh's question too, is what would be the volume to indicate OPEX covering? And the number that was thrown out was 5 million. Can't talk about why it was 5 million, can't talk about mechanics behind it or anything like that. But the point is 5 million. Josh, I believe we closed today under or right at about 3 million. I haven't seen the numbers myself, been busy here. So the way I kind of think about it is that you kind of want as much chaos to go through at a single time, because when you have these big boys that are competing with one another, or when you have different mechanisms that are competing with one another, that is what I think helps to source, the violent upside potential that we all really
also
hope for.
Implied volatility. When if they wait till the last minute to close, we're going to see massive jumps and an increased volatility. That's going to be spiking IV, making your options go way deeper. And this is actually attractive to the people who are doing this, the market makers and the short hedge funds, because they are getting loaded up on these entropy swaps, which is basically going mega long volatility. So they want these volatile cycles to get super volatile because they make money on them. Therefore, we are also planning on, I'm personally going to be selling my calls once we get into Gamma Max. Then I'm going to be selling them incrementally at every single breakout. Just that is my personal plan. If though we do see extreme call buying, today was perfect because we saw pretty low volume, pretty much on a lower volume than we could have even have dreamed of. So this was most likely not any of that covering that was needed. We saw a lot of call buying. We saw some real FOMO. We saw the market going up. This is really just priming absolutely everything that we could possibly hope for going into this cycle. The last day they could potentially close is Friday morning. If we see a situation where we start to run up throughout the rest of the week and we see a lot of FOMO, we could run into next week as well. But as of right now, it seems like this run could be very, very attractive. I personally picked up a few more calls today. I got very, very lucky, just basically underbidding pretty much everything. And eventually I got covered towards the end of the day, which was very attractive. I am way too excited going into the rest of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I would just say, like, for everyone, I am by no means an expert trader. I'm still kind of new to this, but I get the fact that, you want to have, you want to manage your risk. So the way I do that is, trailing stops. I like to turn them on pretty much when I get into the green, or not the instant I get into the green, but, I'm pretty cautious. In fact, I got stopped out of one of my positions earlier today. July contracts, I had a decent profit, bought back in for actually a later contract, August and October, and I guess January, the big ones I'm still targeting. So anyways, Josh, I'm cautiously optimistic about everything. And like I said, very curious to see where this week goes. But again, keep an eye on your risk. And once you go green, make sure you've got your stop set if that's what you're planning on doing.
I think it's different for everybody. If you're someone who can be much more active and has a little bit more experience, or if you, let's say you're at work, stops are the absolute best. But I would put those stops in once we go into Gamma Max territory. But personally, I will not be selling pretty much anything until we actually hit Gamma Max. Today it was about 160, but Gamma Max continuously increases as more and more calls come in. So we'll find out what Gamma Max is, the new Gamma Max is tomorrow, kind of to figure out what our new range is really going to be. Then we usually run a decent bit over Gamma Max, but like every single time when we go over Gamma Max, it's hard to keep on going within this cycle because we don't have that option chain to continuously overbid and get higher and higher without that FOMO. But pricing just skyrockets and people can no longer afford it. But something that is much more interesting, and there's a much more chance of an extreme run, is BBBY. If we get over $8, $9, $10, the calls just run the option chain, and we could see an extraordinary just volatile upswing of BBBY just because the calls just run the option chain. So I am over leveraged to the max on BBBY, because if we do run, it's not going to be a 100% gain. It's going to be just ridiculous because BBBY could just shoot up astronomically because the hedging pressure that these market makers will have to do just because of the vast amount of options that the retail holds out of the money.
Yeah. So I have 3 other comments on that front. Number one, as far as Bobby goes, I do not believe, although I didn't ask the question directly, but Pavi did not mention that the put wall was reestablished. Although I think even though the puts would have that were theoretically suppressing the price would have fallen off last Friday, I suspect that the market makers, just as they have to hedge their GEX, they have to hedge, I guess, their negative GEX. Right? In other words, they have to buy shares if they have calls. The point is, I'm not quite sure how long it takes for that to be reflected. That might be again on the T+2 cycle for it to be reflected.
It would be T+4 because the holiday period.
Yeah. I did mention that it was theoretically gamma max for Bobby, and one of the things I've been trying to understand, and this is probably outside my wheelhouse, but figuring out a source to find gamma max. Short of going to PiFi stream, which is he very generously provides the information. And just remember, gamma max will change daily, so it's not so much it's this number, like no, it changes day, or I guess it changes
minute basis based upon how many calls are being bought. So basically everything that we wanted for this cycle is priming. Now we just need to see the actual price movement. It seems like if they do roll their obligations, I will pretty much just scratch everything that I know, and I'll have to start from the beginning. So let me know if you guys are excited about this upcoming cycle. I mean, by the time this video is up, I mean, there's a chance that we're already running, but most likely they'll probably go into like Thursday and Friday morning.
Yeah. Two more quickie comments on that front. When you're managing trailing stops, if your brokerage lets you do it, you might have to go into the more advanced platform, but you can set up conditional orders. That's what I've got on my side. You've got like a two-step process. So in other words, the option contract has hit a certain price, and then the trailing stop gets slapped onto it. But again, check your brokerage for that front. The second thing is that if we do run into Friday, and like we really run into Friday, particularly in close on Friday, that also means we might have another bump on Monday and Tuesday. It would be the June 27th and the 28th, the next T1, T2 for GEX covering. So very, very curious to see what happens on that front, because I would assume that the ideal scenario, or in my ignorance, I would assume an ideal scenario would be running really hard into Friday to the point, especially at the very end of the day, where you suddenly have.
But the reason I'm saying this is because of all the calls are going to become in the money, and then that forces a bunch of GEX covering the following week. And especially, I know a lot of people plan on exercising a lot of their in the money calls. I personally doing it. I plan on selling a lot of my out of the monies and exercising some of my in the monies. And a lot of other people are going to be doing this, putting more and more pressure. So if we were running massively through the end of the week and go into the week after that, that's when we could really start to build some steam going into a larger and even larger run. So thank you guys, and we'll keep you guys updated, and we'll see you on the next one.